What's up, everyone? Sly here. Just got done working for the day, got home and noticed we have our first round of class tuning as well as some augmentation nerfs. And this was posted about 3 hours ago. So for those of you watching this at a later date, it is July 30th, around 9:30 at night. I'm starting to record this, so these came out around 6:30 in the evening. I got a chance to thumb through them a little bit, but we're going to go through these a little bit together, not in super big detail, but mostly just to get an idea on what this is going to do to the tier list that I had previously posted a few days ago. So starting off, we're going to start with alphabetical order here, the Druid. Now, Druid got some Keeper of the Grove changes here, just a 1% nerf on Grove Guardian healing, or bonus healing, and 2% haste increase on Cenarius Might. If you actually go down to the resto tree, they added 4 additional spells to Convoke, but at the same time they also nerfed Tree of Life healing. So since those are on the same node, they're more or less trying to make that a more competitive choice than just always taking it. But for keystone purposes, you're still probably going to always take Tree of Life just because it's a reliable cooldown. Convoke for damage, of course, but just being the RNG spells, and with these 15% damage nerfs, it's going to make it a little less enticing, even though they did add 4 more spells to it, right? Embrace of the Dream, buffed by 50%. This is the instant cast heal from Wild Growth, if talented, for people that have Rejuve and Regrowth hots on them already. So not super game breaking or anything really crazy right there. Regenesis buffing Rejuvenation by a little bit here. Power of the Arch Druid, which now has a 20% higher chance to proc. This was whenever your Rejuves would jump to an extra target. And then Nourish Healing being buffed by 100%. So this again is also on a choice node with Grove Guardians versus Nourish, just trying to make it more of a competitive thing. As far as the tier list, it doesn't really change them a whole lot. They're still kind of in the same spot with a little bit less damage. The next class we're going to move down to is Evoker. There's not actually any healer changes for the Evoker, but something very important to note is augmentation changes. So the 2 augmentation changes we have is Ebon Might is now going to only increase primary stat by 5% instead of 6.5%. So you lose 1.5% stat there. And Closest Clutch Mates, which was the passive you got for not being inside of a raid, which buffed Ebon Might and Scales of the Sand, I believe it is. Breath of Eons, something, by 10% whenever you're not in a raid, right? So essentially augmentation just got a huge support nerf, and I could kind of see it just because augmentation itself gained personal damage. I'm not really sure this is going to knock them out of the meta entirely. And the only reason I say this is because preservation alone is not strong enough, I think, to become a meta healer. And the only reason for this is going to be the range. Blizzard really needs to remove the range from Evoker if they want it to be a competitive healer ever. Keystones have just too much movement. Raid also has a lot of movement, a lot of people spread out for Evoker to actually shine the way that it should, right? Scrolling down next on our list here is going to be Monk, Conduit of the Celestials, which is the hero talent that I play. Celestial Conduit healing got reduced by 8%. It's not really a huge surprise here. Whenever you have stuff like Enveloping Mist up and you're Renewing Mist, you had all those healing percentage buffs, which would then make this like a crazy spell that could just full heal your group every minute and a half. Inner Compass now only increases your secondaries by 2% instead of 3%. And Temple Training increases Vivify and Enveloping Mist by 6% instead of 10%. I don't actually think these last 2 really mattered that much. I don't think I actually took these on beta at all whenever I tried out this hero talent. So not really huge right there. As far as Mistweaver overall, Yu'lon's Whisper, which is the thing whenever you drink Mana Tea, you breathe a mist out. It did basically crap healing before, so buffing crap by 30% still equals crap. So there's really no changes there. And then all of these right here are more or less just raid changes, in my opinion. Tear of Mourning is the thing where you have the choice node where your Rising Sun Kick renews your hots, which you're pretty much going to always take anyway. So I think they're more or less trying to make it where Monk does a combination of Fist Weave healing in raid and like hardcast healing, sort of to bridge that gap more. In keys, this doesn't really change anything that we do, so Monk is kind of going to stay where it's at. Paladin actually got quite a few changes. Lightsmith did see a nerf on Blessed Assurance here. As far as the general tree actually got a lot of nice improvements. Notably, your Word of Glory and Light of Dawn buff by 15%. A lot of damage increases. Tears Deliverance was a big one. The 30% buff and then increases healing taken by 12% instead of 10. Tears Deliverance was really underperforming and a lot of people weren't even taking it. Sanctified Wrath decreases cooldown of Holy Shock by 50% instead of 20. Extra damage on Crusader Strike. Extra damage on Shield of the Righteous. The biggest thing I think is this Moment of Compassion increases healing of Flashlight by 50% instead of 15. This is the whenever you have a beacon on a target and you heal that target that has the beacon, it's gonna buff Flash by 50%. This is actually gonna be really crazy for specific like tank healing bomb and keys. So all in all, like really strong changes for the Paladin. Moving down to Priest. Priest got some stuff that was needed. However, I think it's going to need a lot more. Rather than messing with some of their other hero talents, they're starting to buff Oracle a lot. I see a lot of preventative measures damage for both Holy and Disc being buffed. As far as Disc overall, 5% damage increase. Power Word Shield, which basically absorbed nothing before, at least got a 30% buff. I suspect we might see some more tuning of that in the future, hopefully. Some Radiance changes. And then some hotfixes for stuff that wasn't working properly on beta. Holy, all damage increased by 10%. Your Prayer and Circle of Healing buffed by 30%, which is a really good AoE heal change there. I know that like last season of Dragonflight, a lot of priests weren't even taking them because the AoE heals just weren't really worth it versus the single target stuff. I haven't played enough with Holy Priest or played with any Holy Priests on beta to know if that's even going to still be the case or if they're still going to mostly just take their single target talents. And lastly, Shaman. Shaman had some pretty cool stuff here, mainly in the Farseer tree, some changes, which was pretty nice, about some cooldown reductions. Hydro Bubble, which was their tank absorb, or actually could be for anybody, really. That was a pretty nice change. It's going to make them definitely a little bit stronger. I'm not sure if you're going to take that talent. Further testing will have to be done, but it is a really nice change to at least see this be getting some attention and then wanting to head that way for shamans. As far as resto overall, they did have all healing reduced by 5%, which was not great to see. I know a lot of restos were having fun out there with that. Spouting Spirits also reduced by 35%. However, for those of you that were asking me in the comments about what class is the best to heal on for beginners and stuff, Ancestral Awakening, which is your smart healing talent that heals low health party members automatically for you, that did receive a buff. Nice 20%er there. So overall, that's a pretty good change, and I still think that for those of you who ask me at the end of these videos, like, what do you think I should be playing? My answer is still going to stay the same. It's going to be Resto Shaman or Holy Paladin. Regardless of what the tier list says, I think they're probably just the best beginner friendly, have a really big toolkit, and it's not something that's so daunting you're going to be like, what the hell? But it gives you something to have basics and then also further improve and min-max on later. As far as our tier list goes, realistically, I could see Holy Paladin overtaking Shaman just because of these changes. With Augmentation being nerfed, maybe you could say that Preservation moves up if you have maybe a chance of running our Preservation. And then I would say the priest changes move them up to B. So all in all, the healers are getting closer together. I don't really know where that would put druids, but somewhere like this is where I think that our healing comp's going to end up for right now. So Holy Paladin taking the number 1 slot as of 7:30, but you know, who knows? I just put out a video 3 days ago and now we already have notes, so it could be another 3 days and we have more notes. So all in all, that's my updated guide. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.